Hey, Amy. Hey, Knowledge. Where am I today? That's a very good question. At the moment, I'm trying to see if our guests are here. I can see one of our guests is here. So that's super. And I think our other guest is here as well. Hi, Tumabuki. Hey, Rox. I'll call you in a second. Hey, Falling. Hi, Seabreak. Hi, Katie Rose. How are you? Let me just get my ducks in order here. Okay. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a change from the norm. We're going to have two guests. I can see one of our guests is here, and I can see our other guest is here. So I'm going to bring, who shall I choose? I'm going to choose Rox. So Rox, you should see this kind of ringing on your phone, and you're going to pick that up. Hi, Enemy Dan. Hi, Dav31. Hi, Bertots. Hi, Fox Force. It does sound like I'm on a boat. It is a bit hollow, isn't it? And here, I'm delighted to introduce Rox. Hi, Rox. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm very good. I've got my headphones on, but I haven't got my headphones plugged in, which is a bit silly. So I'm going to do that now. Tell us where you are this morning. I believe it's 9:30 where you are. We have people tuning in from all over the world, as far as field as Taiwan. Is it 9:30 just gone? And tell us where you are.
So I'm in Dallas, Texas, where it's unseasonably cool and overcast for April.
Really? And what's the kind of local issue of the day in Dallas, Texas in the last month or so? What's the kind of hot local news story that people are talking about? Not like a national thing, but like a local thing.
A local thing right now is that the drivers are just really having a hard time maintaining their lanes. They're a little reckless.
Oh, and there's what, a lot of accidents or fender benders, as I think sometimes you call them in America. Is that what you mean?
Exactly. Exactly. People aren't paying attention. They're too busy talking on their cell phones while they're driving.
Yeah. And I've been to America a lot. I go there a lot. Definitely got a different driving style, but you've also got a different driving style in each state in America. I've driven in Texas. I've driven in Dallas because I told you I've been to Dallas. By far the worst. There is one state which for me is the worst above all. And in fact, in October, I was involved in an accident myself. The Uber I was in got rear-ended. What do you think the worst state in the US for driving is?
New Jersey.
Oh, that's a really good call, actually. I forgot. Yeah. Actually, that whole New Jersey into kind of Pennsylvania border area, like Trenton and places around there, they are insane. And they just don't obey the speed limits, and they'll just like overtake you crazily.
Yep.
That's actually a really good call. My one was going to be Florida.
I honestly have not done much driving in Florida myself. So I've been there a few times, but I've been in Uber and I've been on the cell phone while they've been driving. So, but I'll take your word for it.
Some of our American players are joining in, saying Anime Dan says it might be Florida as well. And then Omi Wins kind of agrees with you, says Philly, not quite New Jersey, but the same part of the world. Yes, it is pretty bad up there. Yeah. Okay, well, Rox, I'm going to ask you in a few minutes about your work with Charles and your book, etc. This is a 10-question quiz. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you 5 questions, and then we're going to hang up, and then I'm going to bring Charles on and ask him the final 5 questions. I think that's going to work okay.
Yeah.
So what will happen from your point of view, Rox, is the questions will appear on your phone, right, in front of you, just below our little picture of each other, and you'll see 3 options, and you have to press the correct option. And the quicker you press the answer, the more points you get. You won't get any negative points. So basically, answer as quick as you can. If you get it wrong, it doesn't matter. You're playing against everyone else around the world. I guess you're also going to play against Charles for props between the two of you. Okay. You might if you come top 30, I think that's always a badge of honor. Top 20 is really good. Top 10 is amazing. I've been doing this since last summer. I've probably had 3 or 4 top 10. So it's a trivia game. It's like a pub quiz, general knowledge. And I'm going to then ask you some questions about your series together and your new books and new publications. So let me see. Hopefully I'll get everything right. I'm going to press my button here and I'm going to start the question. I'm pretty much always going to ask a question about there's some geography, there's some royal family, there's, what else have we got today? Some film, another geography, a bit of music, a bit of language, but also, because it's Wednesday, we're going to ask a Taylor Swift question. So that's the way it is. Okay, let's see, everybody. Who does Taylor Swift refer to in the title of her new album? So all you got to do, Rox, is press which one you think. Is it Tortured Bus Drivers, Tortured Astronauts, or Tortured Poets? Your camera's a little bit high, Rox. I can see the light above you. That's it. That's cool. I know it's hard because you've got to press the button as well. Do you know the answer to this question?
I answered Tortured Poets.
It's got to be the most talked about album in a long time, I think. It's extraordinary work ethic that this person has to be doing the Eras tour and then to simultaneously release an album, which is no ordinary album. It's got 31 songs on it. It's pretty extraordinary. Are you got people, or have you got people in your sphere that are Taylor Swift fans?
You know, I have a few Taylor Swift fans. Yep. But I don't know if that's the right answer or not, but that is my answer.
Yeah, no, Tortured Poets is correct. Yeah, you got that right. Most people got that right. And did anybody, or even in our chat, did anybody go and see the Eras tour? Very hard for me to say that, Taylor Swift's Eras tour. She's coming to the UK, so we're going to have Taylor Swift Mania for that tour and sky high ticket prices. So you're here today. This is unusual for me to have two guests on. You're a kind of would you describe yourself as a writing partnership? How did that begin with, Charles? And how does a writing partnership work? I've actually written a couple of books. I can't imagine writing a book with somebody else, but maybe I can. Do you take one chapter each? Does one of you write the main draft and the other one reviews it? Tell me about how you met, how you decided to do it, and how you work.
So we actually met because at one point in time, I hired him to work for our organization. And we ended up writing technical documents for the companies that we worked for. And we had fun doing that. And it was like, okay, let's see if we can't have a little fun writing technical manuals. Well, that was like watching paint dry. So we decided we were going to go ahead and try and take our technology fun and knowledge and put it into techno thriller fiction. And it's been fun ever since, just writing that. So as far as how we write, you know, we do tend to write different chapters, but then we go back and forth with them and smooth them so it sounds like a single voice. And it's very difficult even for the first line editor, which is Charles's wife, to decide who wrote a given chapter, because it just sounds,
yeah. I've actually edited books where multiple people have written them and you're trying to do it as one voice. So that's really interesting that you got that. I'll come back to you in a second, ask about the world in which these books are set and whether it's a continual series. I think people would like to know. We're going to move on to a kind of a geography question, kind of a US question. It's about airports and airport codes. You know, when you travel to an airport, it says a code for that airport. This one here says ORD is the code for an airport based in which city? Is it Denver? Is it Houston? Or is it Chicago? Well, as a kind of, are you a Texan? You're living in Texas. You're probably going to know that it's not Houston. What do you think it is?
Chicago.
Yeah, I wonder why it's O'Hare, isn't it? Do you know why it's ORD?
I really don't. I think it's because it was like O'Hare Davenport at one point in time or something. I'm not really sure.
Oh, yes. Yeah, no, that's quite possible. Yeah, good. You're 2 for 2. So you've got the hang of the buttons. You're doing really well. I'll show the scores in a minute to everybody. So tell us about the world. It's the enigma. So one character. Is it set in one sort of milieu? Is it sort of murder mystery? Explain to the fans and our viewers about the series.
That's a great question. So we actually have kind of two foundations for the series. It is contemporary, modern day, with essentially the cyber good guys fighting the cyber bad guys, because we know that there is no threat across the internet. We all know that, right? I'm sure everybody that's watching is totally in agreement with that. However, it's a family business that was formed after World War II from people that had to flee Poland in 1939. And so the family has had 3 generations of knowledge and information to help those who are being oppressed. And they've taken it now to the current day world. You know, they have their own supercomputer.
And what are they doing? Are they solving crime?
They're solving crime. They're breaking all sorts of cyber issues that are going on, from ransomware to identity theft is one of the big themes. And it is a series. The baseline series is called the Enigma series, and it has each book with a focus on a problem, like identity theft, cryptocurrency, AI. So because we're technologists by profession, the themes and problems that are underlying what people will do and how people will be taken advantage of by the cyber punks. There's a never-ending flow of themes that we can take with the stories, because technology moves at a gazillion rate,
Okay, that's super interesting. I've got some follow-ups. Let's do another question before we do that. This one might be a little bit trickier, but I think you can work it out. I think everybody might know this. There's a kind of I think there's a comet that's flying over the Earth, or is in the Earth's trail at the moment. It's been in the news for the last few days. Currently visible. What is the nickname of comet 12P Pons Brooks? Is it the Cosmic Dancer? Is it the Mother of Dragons? Frosty Tail? Any ideas, or are you guessing on that one, Rox?
Totally guessing. Cosmic Dancer.
Oh, I caught you out. It isn't Cosmic Dancer. It's Mother of Dragons. And the reason it's called Mother of Dragons, a lot of people got caught out, is because there is a meteor shower in November or December called the Draconid from Dragon. And this comet has something to do with that that world. Okay, we're going to move on to movies. This is a slightly tricky one now. They're not all going to be easy. This is about a movie not from 2024, but from 1924. Yes, a movie from 100 years ago, everybody. There was a movie, a big hit 100 years ago, called Girl Shy. Who was the star of Girl Shy? It was the biggest comedy hit of 1924. Was it Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, or Harold Lloyd? All preeminent stars of the 20th century, especially the early cinema. Of course, Chaplin straddled to the 50s and 60s as well. You know this one? I must admit, I wasn't totally au fait, but I might.
So I had a struggle between Chaplin and Keaton, so I went with Keaton.
Well, you probably should have thought, if I'm struggling between Chaplin and Keaton, I better go with the other ones. It was actually Harold Lloyd. And most people were with you. Look, the majority of people went for Keaton and Chaplin, very for Harold Lloyd. Tell me about the origins of this family. Do you go back deep into where they were from in Poland? And are they Jewish? Is that why they kind of fled Poland? Do you do a backstory, or is it just that it's just a small part of the story overall?
Yeah, several years ago, we actually created the prequel of the series itself, and it's called Out of Poland, and it's 3 young men who were in the service of the country trying to battle the Germans who were invading, and they decided to strike back. And there was a device that was used by Germany during World War II that, of course, Britain played a big role in at one point in time. And so they stole a copy of the Enigma machine from the German embassy in Poland. And then it's named Baby in the story because they steal it and turn part of it over to the Brits and take a copy to found their information dynasty.
How interesting. So we're going to ask you one more question. You're going to tell us briefly about, you've got some new book or new publication coming out. I'm going to hang up and I'm going to bring Charles on to pick up on some of your tips. I'm going to see how you're getting on. The next is about British history. Well, actually, it's English history specifically. The Hammer of the Scots was a nickname of which king of England? The Hammer of the Scots was a nickname of which king of England? Obviously, he was given this nickname because there was a lot of Anglo-Scottish wars going on, and he was at the forefront of it. This would be a tough one, I think, for a lot of people. Did you know the answer to this one, Rox?
I'm hoping it's Edward.
Bang. Wow. Very good. Edward, indeed it was. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
So the scores. Tell me about, what's coming up. Have you got a new book coming out? Is there a new one out, or have you got up in the foreseeable future?
Oh, I love this question. Thank you so much. So actually the Enigma series, we capped at 12 books, and we started a new series, which is the next generation of our contemporary cyber heroes, and they're called the Enigma Heirs. And the book 2 in that series, Enigma Forced, released about a week and a half ago. So we're really looking forward for people to read it, leave us some nice reviews. The audio for that will be coming out in early summer.
Awesome. Who does your audio? You do it yourselves?
No, because we want people to enjoy it. We actually have a wonderful voice of this series called Derek Scholes. He is phenomenal. He's won awards with us, and we're very lucky to have him as a part of the team.
Awesome. So we're halfway. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to show the, going to see who's winning, where you are, where Charles is, I think. Then I'm going to hang up on you. I'll say goodbye before that. I've never done this before. Then I'm going to try and bring Charles on. You stay watching. You can breathe a sigh of relief and just watch. And you can play on. We can see how you do. Let me see how these leaderboards are. Are we getting the leaderboards up? We are. So overall, I can see Debbie's winning. Well, cheeky. Annie B and SJP in second and third. And then I go down and Rox in 17th. So you're in a top 20 position. And I see Charles, he's in 26th. So at the moment, you're nine positions ahead of him. Right. Let's see how we can get on with him. I'm going to try and do this now. So I've got to hang up with you. Listen, it's been lovely to meet you, Charles, and thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you all. Nice to meet you.
Okay. All right. So hanging up there. And now we're going to try and bring on Rox's partner in crime and partner in writing, who is Charles. Here we go. So Charles, you should see your phone now ringing, and you should be able to pick that up, and we're going to continue on. This is the first time for us having two guests. Calling Charles, but I'm not sure that he's going to answer. Oh, here we go. Here we go. There he is. How are you?
Trying to get the camera right so that I get not only my eyebrows but my chin. So
we got it. How are you? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine, sir. How about me? Can you hear me?
Good, good. Yeah, did you watch and listen to what Rox was, Charles?
I did. She's fantastic at making up stories. So you know, you should understand her answers are going to be innovative. Is probably the way I'd put it.
So tell me about these books. If they're all about kind of the current tech scene, therefore AI or crypto, as you mentioned, I'm going to come back to those things. Does it mean that you guys have to really keep on top of what is happening in the world of tech and Silicon Valley, et cetera, et cetera? And how do you do that?
Well, it's second nature to us. We see the information coming through. We see the cyber attacks. We see things ahead of when a lot of people get to them. Our cryptocurrency a book was 3 years ago. Our AI Wars book was 3 years ago. So we're seeing stuff and we're postulating how to handle it wrong. I guess that sounds kind of like an ugly scenario, but you know, we're engineers by trade, and so we always work on the same principle of, you know, if it isn't broken, take it apart and fix it. So that's what we like to do. Take a look at it and figure out how it can be manipulated, because that's what the bad guys do. They got nothing else to do except make your life miserable, and they do that by exploiting new technology. Well, what if I did this? Oh wow, I could get into the you know, the FBI's data banks and have a field day. So all it takes is that one mistake, and we see that on a regular conveyor belt of information coming through all the time.
I'm going to pick up on some of those themes in a second. We're going to continue with our quiz. You notice that Rox has basically got the props over you at the moment because she's in position 17 and you're in position 26. So there's a lot riding on the next 5 questions, Charles, for you personally here in your battle of quiz supremacy with your writing partner. I always ask questions. I've had a question about Taylor Swift. We're now going to have a question about one of our favorite royals. I say that with my tongue in my cheek. We got a question about Prince Harry, who's a bit of an obsession over here and a mini obsession, I think, with Meghan in America. But Prince Harry has just announced he's going to have a new series on TV. It's on Netflix around which sport? Can you guess? Is it polo? Is it badminton? Or is it 8-ball pool? What do you think it might be, Charles?
I tend to favor badminton.
Well, given that he's come from a horse background with his family are all big horsey fans, it is, of course, polo is the answer for that one. Nobody really, a few people went for 8-ball pool. That's kind of amusing, but most people went for polo. That was, in fact, the case. The next question is all about geography. It's about capital cities, and it's about a European capital city. Tirana is the capital city of which country? Tirana. Is it Albania, is it Bulgaria, or is it Lithuania? Did you know the answer to that one? What did you think, Charles?
I'm going to try Lithuania. I'm going to try Lithuania.
No, Lithuania is, yes, I think. Albania is the correct answer there. Albania is the correct answer. Let me ask you about some topics that we've been interested in here. We've discussed quite a few times on this show AI. We've actually had in previous episodes AI guests. We had an AI version of Albert Einstein. We had an AI Elon Musk. We had an AI, what was she called? The Ada Lovelace, who was one of the female pioneers of computing. AI, in brief, Charles, is it a force for good, or should we all be worried about this so-called singular intelligence? What do you think?
Yeah, it's got the potential for seduction. It's poisonous from every angle that I can look at, and it's being digested so fast that what will happen is that what we postulated in our book on The Enigma Beyond. It gets away from the people who thought they were in charge, and that's the danger that you can't foresee until you're looking at it in your rearview mirror.
I think that's pretty much accurate. All these companies like DeepMind and Google and OpenAI, they all talk about having guardrails, etc. But I think they're just releasing stuff so quickly that really guardrails are not being thought about, and so suddenly there's going to be some sort of event. I don't know what the event is going to be, but it's going to shake us up, I think, as a global community. And then we're going to have to properly think about this. Okay, now I'm going to move on now. 3 questions left. Next one's difficult, but just have a look at it. This is about acting. It's about the Oscars. I gave Rox a hard one about cinema. This is about cinema as well. Which actor won Oscars for his roles in the films Spartacus and Top Carpi? Laurence Olivier, Kirk Douglas, or Peter Ustinov? This is a kind of somewhat forgotten actor, but he was a really popular face in the 50s and 70s. Sort of British actor. Rubbermation says they think they've got it. Did you know what it was, Charles, or did you guess?
Kirk Douglas. Would be the one that I would postulate, but I could be wrong about his war or whatnot. I remember the movie quite well. A spectacular movie.
Yeah, he was in Spartacus, but it wasn't actually Kirk Douglas. It was Peter Ustinov, and that caught out most people. Most people, like you, went for Kirk Douglas, and some people went for Laurence Olivier, but it was, of course, Peter Ustinov. In terms of cryptocurrency, did you follow that story recently about Sam Bankman-Fried and his extraordinary cryptocurrency exchange? And he was like this super rich guy, and then he's now just been imprisoned for 30 years. What did you make of that story? Did you follow that?
It's typical of the crypto world. It's it's very much a Ponzi scheme. People rush in, be the early ones. The value goes up. Everybody gets real heady about it. Everybody's like, oh wow, I may lose out on this. And they buy in. The early adopters leave, suck up the profits, and there's no guidance. There's no nobody actually overseeing it. It's a free for all. And they just sentenced the other one that was in what's his name? Chow or Sao?
Yes.
Yeah,
Binance.
He's Binance. That's right. He's being sentenced at the end of this month for evading crypto laws. That which is not really quite fair because they didn't really have any crypto laws. So he was racing ahead of the ahead of it and making a gazillion dollars. And all of a sudden, everybody's like, well, it's not fair for him to be that rich, so let's lock him up. So a little vindictive in their approach because there weren't any, and still aren't any real guidelines. So it's still very much a free-for-all.
Yeah. That's interesting. I hadn't seen that he was going to tried or sentenced at the end of the month, so I'll keep an eye on that. Okay, 2 questions left. Let's go through these and then we'll wrap up. Question number 9. Which record producer was often credited as the 5th Beatle? Was it George Martin, Brian Eno, or William Orbit? Who did you think that was, Charles?
Boy, I must have missed that on the History Channel because I thought it was Brian Eno.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was, in fact, of course, George Martin, very famous kind of erudite English guy, old-fashioned chap who produced the Beatles. Our last question is about language and words. It's a kind of definition question. So the question is, what is a pluviometer used to measure sunshine? Is it wind speed or is it rain? I'm sorry in chat that you misclicked, and Anime Dan, yes, it did make sense. So did you know, Charles, what a pluviometer measures?
I'm going to speculate it's sunshine.
Your speculation hasn't served you well because it was, of course, rainfall on that front. So I'm not sure how well you've caught up with Rox there. We'll see in a second. Before we wrap up and sign off, Charles, how can people find you? They're looking for, is it Brakefield and Berkeley is what they should look up? Tell me how they should view.
I would start with our website, which has got Brakefield and Berkeley on it. There's interesting facts, details, bios, a complete shopping list of our inventory of books, which is very close to approaching 30. Short stories, cozy mysteries, techno thrillers, and even a contemporary women's romance that we just launched in the last 30 days. So we're ambitious. We like some of the stuff that the comments that people are getting back saying, "Wow, this is good stuff." The website is at enigmaseries.com, and that'll get you to the ebooks, the hard copies, as well as the Audible links. And let us know what you think of the book videos that we have, the trailers that are set up.
Okay, cool. All right, before we look at the scores, we've got some nice comments. Anime Dan says, great guest. So I think that kind of sums up. We've loved having you. This has been a first for me, having 2 separate guests. So technically that all worked. Let's see now our final scores here and how everybody did. You against the world and also against the writing partner. I think you might have something on you. Cheeky Babies, our overall winner. Good to see you, Rox, in second, SPP in third. And as I page down a little bit, what do I see? Rox. I see Rox in 22nd. Congratulations, Rox. So she dropped a little bit. Charles didn't improve. He came top 30, still a good score for both of you. Listen, I hope you've both enjoyed it. We've been having you on. Everyone at enigmaseries.com. Rox has posted it in the chat. Thank you so much, and thanks, Rox, again for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul, and congratulations to the winners and their scores that were very humbling and of my efforts. So well done.
All right, see you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.